What is something that utterly disgusts you? I have a physical aversion to this. You know how some people have to shower before they sleep or have to have their coffee first thing in the morning? Well, I have to wash my ass with soap and water after I take a dump. Well, what if there are no facilities nearby that allow me to do this, you ask? I carry a pack of Katanol wipes with me at all times, one in my bag, refills in my car, one at work, and I also keep extra pairs of underwear around. The Katanol wipes and fresh undies hold me over so I'm not completely disgusted with myself until I can get to some soap and water, and then it's another underwear change. This is the first time I've ever written this out, and now that I have, I think I might actually have OCD lol. I used to work as a janitor and it gave me a new perspective and a public for sure. People who leave pee or shit on the seat, making it pretty much unusable for anyone sitting. Accidents happen, but you can at least wipe things down with toilet paper for most things. You're washing your hands after anyway, hopefully, so it's not gross to clean up your own mess. In the past I may have blamed these incidents on kids or someone disabled who couldn't help it. But seeing who comes in and out firsthand, I now know it's mostly able-bodied adults and even my own co-workers. These are also the same people who put their boogers under tables and on walls and spit their gum in urinals and water fountains knowing full well it's not going anywhere until I pick out. And a habit that is a double whammy for me because I'm also getting into environmental protection. Throwing cigarette butts absolutely anywhere except a bin or tray. And no, an empty plant pot someone placed by their door or a bowl left on the table is not an ashtray. Good God, the places I used to clean those things out of. Not only was your mouth all over it, but when it degrades, slowly, it contaminates the soil and nearby water sources with microplastics, carcinogens, and other chemicals that have proven to stunt the reproduction of plants, microbes, amphibians, and fish. Oh, and it causes fires on roadsides, plus it just looks trashy and stinks. This stuff disgusts me so much that I've ended relationships over it. I am just not compatible with anyone who has the mindset to leave their bodily fluids and trash on things other people use with no thought. At the first store I worked at, people would toss cigarette butts wherever the fuck they wanted. Once went out to pick the leftover butts from the bushes with a bag and some gloves, and holy shit there were a lot of them in there. Either I lived in a smoker's heaven, or those butts last forever and nobody ever cleaned up those bushes. Even now, 5 years later in a different town with less smokers, I still see them scattered on the sidewalk. We have bins specifically for cigarettes. What the fuck? Full disclosure, I'm on some meds that make me really sick at times. It's not unusual for me to have to go to a public bathroom to throw up. Sometimes, it's pretty bad, but I always wipe everything down the best I can. I've cleaned up many a public bathroom floor. My issue is public bathrooms that only have air dryers instead of paper towels. I can't clean up after myself with thin commercial toilet paper if I have to go in and, expel. Paper towels are for more than drying your hands. You know, I work in a kitchen, and one of the few benefits I got was a higher sense of cleanliness in public. I can be a bit of a slob at home, but I'm the only one dealing with my mess. Practices like washing your hands, taking care of your messes, and not leaving shit around is beat into your skull in order to keep your job, so I can feel that sentiment in my bones. The turning point for me though, was a distinct memory I have from middle school. This one girl I was walking down the hallway with, just happened to be going in the same direction, past a trash can, then proceeded to spit out her gum into the corner of the floor. She then looked at me and did a goofy smile and started to chuckle, like it was a silly joke. Even back then, I just looked at her like, you fucking serious? I even asked her why she did that when she literally just passed a trash can, and she just said I didn't know. Not a big deal though, and went about her day. I don't know why that stuck with me, but it did. I guess it was just so unbelievably dumb that I didn't understand why, and to this day I still don't. I guess she just did it not thinking about it, and tried to play it off as a joke when called out for it. What makes it sad is that there's a plethora of grown-ass adults who do the same exact thing. For me, I'm especially peeved by people putting their pets through needless stress or endangering them because something is cute. Obese pets displaying stress behaviors. Lots of lizards do cute things if they're terrified. Taking pets on car rides where they're loose in the vehicle just for the hell of it. Letting inappropriate pets play together, like someone getting their snake and dog to stay on the couch together. It's horrible. A girl in a group payment killed her pet snake recently because she dropped it in the car. It tried to hide and got crushed under a plastic panel. Ugh. I'm into fishy keeping, and the amount of misinformation and bullshit that swirls around the aquasphere is just insane. There are YouTube channels with millions of subscribers that show people just filling up tanks with untreated tap water and chucking the fish right in, or they'll handle them excessively and bring them out of the water and show them off while this fish is fucking terrified and they're drowning. So many people are so excited to show off their 20-gallon tank with 5 dojo loaches in it. Just ridiculous and irresponsible. And pet stores will sit there and fucking sell someone a goldfish and a bowl and tell them they only grow to the size of their tank. Not true. It's insane how people consider fish to just be swimmy plants. If you're going to get a living creature as a pet, do it a favor and do the bare minimum of a single Google search that goes something like how to care for pet. Or check out the subreddit for that pet and watch the shit people get torn to shreds over. Then don't do that shit. Fun fact: most maggots only eat dead flesh, but there are 2 species that actually do eat live flesh. While they have been eradicated from North America, one of them, Cochleomia hominivrax, occasionally makes an appearance in the Florida Keys. Fortunately, there has always been a relatively easy way to keep them in check. Interestingly enough, the female fly of this species can only mate once in her lifetime, so scientists breed these flies by the millions, sterilize them with radiation, and drop them out of planes over any area where an epidemic is reported. Most wild flies end up mating with sterile flies and the next generation is never born. This method has kept the US safe from these pests since 1966. At least, we were safe. Recently, the flies have mutated and are now starting to gain the ability to mate multiple times. There's a current trend on TikTok where people are pretending to have mental health issues and various cognitive disabilities for internet clout. One such trend is to fake dissociative identity disorder, and create a number of quirky alters with groupie backstories straight out of the worst young adult novels. It's honestly disgusting that people are doing this and profiteering from it. Mental health has been romanticized far too much, and this takes it to a new level in which people actually feign it as some kind of sick role-play fetish. It's fucked up. Told the story yesterday in another thread, but it's still true. Mayonnaise. Can't take the sight, smell, or taste of it. Haven't had it since 1997. I was going on a date and, at that age, our moms had to drive us around. Of course, this girl's mother picks me up in their brand new Ford Explorer, which was considered really cool ride at the time, and she passes me this sub from the local deli. We didn't know what you like, so we just got everything. Enjoy. I opened it up and saw the white blood of the devil there, mocking me from between the lettuce and the bread. Muahahaha. I've got you now, you little pissant. Okay, maybe it didn't say that, but I swear I heard it from the back of my mind in a voice like an old smoker telling a joke through a wall of phlegm. I thought of a way out. This is really nice, but I don't want to eat in your new car. It's really nice, by the way. Bet you got a good deal. Huh? Don't worry about it. My girlfriend said, we can just vacuum it later. The mother chimes in, it's fine. Chow down. Great. I had to get a cool mom. Note to self. Date someone from a Mormon military family next time. I felt like Jerry in that Take a Bite of Poppy's Pizza episode of Seinfeld. Supermom staring at me in the rearview mirror to see how much I love the sandwich. Winnie Cooper over here smiling as I raise it to my nervous lips. Out of options, I did the unthinkable. I took a bite. It took about 8 seconds for my taste buds to send my stomach to clearance to go to DEFCON 5. Full purge. I did my best to keep it down, but it was no use. In one monstrous heave, the entire rear seat, floor, door jamb, and runner-up homecoming queen of that shiny new car were covered in bile, gastric juice, and assorted bits of breakfast. I attempted a mewling little apology that kind of went nowhere as she pulled the SUV over and handed me a towel from the back. I'm not sure what her response was, as I was too fixated on the look of utter confusion, disappointment, and disgust my date had on her face. "Oh my gosh. Gosh," she repeated like a mantra, frozen in shock. I did my best to clean out the car and myself with the towel, but it was no use. The damage was done. Because at some point in time you give up. Now hear me out. I have so many other battles to fight in the war on turning my daughter into a happy and healthy functioning adult. She's old enough to clean her own iPad and I refuse to do it for her because you need to take care of your own stuff. She's getting better but she's still not there. A 3-year-old with a dirty iPad exists because their parents are just trying to do their best and are exhausted. I'm not saying you don't know exhaustion, but toddler exhaustion is a whole different beast. That's my best explanation. It's dirty because I'm wiped out over the fight about bananas, and I still need to cook dinner, and do the dishes and, I'm sorry honey, I do not know why Aunt Jeannie's ants look different than ours. And the most ignorant part is the fathers that get angry at the fact that they have so many kids, like it's the kid's fault that they are born and like it's the woman's fault that they just keep getting pregnant as if he has no part in it. You think by the 5th kid he'd get the picture that sex equals kid you have to spend money on, put the dick down and step away from the woman, or get snipped. Depends on whether we're talking about something physically or emotionally disgusting, because I can clean my cat's puke off the floor without gagging even though I hate it, but seeing the way humans the world and treat each other makes me lucky I can digest solid food. For example, I just saw a post on our facepalm where a little girl from Germany is crying over her home country's team losing to a game with England or something. People are calling her disgusting names and other garbage. Obviously they don't know you need to be a good winner as well as a good loser. I could say lots of things like abuse, bullies, rape, racism, transphobia, etc. But while those are certainly the most disgusting and vile things humans can do, I can't help but think of this one porno I had the misfortune of finding a while back. The girl pulled down the guy's pants and all was well, but then he just pissed on her face, and he kept pissing on her face and her clothes and she just smiled and got some in her mouth. And that was pretty much it. What the fuck? A lack of empathy for your fellow man. I have a couple friends that are doctors and the way they talk about patients is abhorrent, denigrating them because of their weight or living conditions and only look at them for the amount of money they make off of them. I understand a certain callousness, but Jesus, understand that some people don't take care of themselves because of their mental health or that they were never taught how or they have a drug addiction because of abuse, etc. People who never clean their houses, cars. I admit I'm not the most tidy person either, but there's a difference between some notebooks thrown about, and maybe an unfolded jacket, versus straight up just leaving literal trash on the floor. It doesn't take a journey to put shit into a garbage can at the very minimum. The amount of fast food containers, old tissues, napkins, and even once I had a relative with weekend-old leftovers in her backseat, and somehow didn't see anything wrong with it. Disturbs me so much. Cigarettes. People who smoke, they have no idea how repulsive they are. That smell, that reeking stench. When a smoker lights up a cigarette, they're showing that the general comfort of anyone in a 10-meter radius is not important to them. They've shown during this pandemic that succumbing to their weakness is more important to them than the well-being of their fellow man. Sometimes I've met someone new and thought, why in the hell do you look so much older than you are? Then later they light up a cigarette and it all makes sense. They throw their cigarette butts wherever they please and let everyone else deal with it, making the whole environment look ugly. And whenever someone goes outside to smoke, so often they just go and stand in the doorway. Maybe they slightly hang their fingers outside of the door frame, all the smoke coming inside as if they were smoking indoors. Cigarettes kill, just sadly not fast enough. People thinking they have a better life than you and giving you advice based on what they like. Every single time I go in town with a group, people say how they spend their days, where they been, what they bought, who they fuck, etc. etc. I usually stay and listen. It's interesting hearing what others do with their lives. Now when it's my turn to say, and they ask me, I'm honest, I work then go home and have a drink, watch a movie, relax for the rest of the day. During weekends I go for a walk. That pretty much sums up my life. For some reason they think that's not the whole story and a barrage of questions comes up. Have you traveled anywhere? No, I never went traveling. How's your relationship? I never had one. What about your hobbies? I paint occasionally, but most days I just play a game or watch a movie, and they seem to not be satisfied with my answers at all. Everyone turns their attention to me and start throwing advice. You need to find a girlfriend. You should go out some more, etc. etc. I appreciate you care for me. I'm not unhappy or abnormal though. Your lifestyle just doesn't suit me. Had to scroll too far for this one. I would just like to say that for me, to be more specific, it would be non-consensual circumcision, forced genital mutilation. Medical reasons sure, but it seems like there is less and less reasons to get cut nowadays. If you want a circumcision then go get one. I am all for people getting consensual body modifications as long as it's their choice. But don't force body modifications onto children. Could you imagine if I gave my son a full back tattoo at 3 days old cause I wanted him to look like his father? I'd be in jail anyways. Celebrate your penis. Be happy with your body. No need to shame circumcised males. People who litter. I'm far from an environmentalist, but it's just basic decency. It's not that hard to not litter. If anything, you kind of have to go out of your way to do it. And if you do, it's not a harmless crime. Someone else has to clean it up. And the idea of another grown man or woman having to pick up garbage because another human decided he or she didn't care enough to carry their trash just a few minutes absolutely enrages me. And also when my wife refuses to blow me, it's like ... why have a wife if she can't service me? You know. Mouth noises. I can't stand them and causes me a lot of anxiety if I am stuck next to someone that is chewing loudly, gulping, chewing gum or ice. It's so bad that I can be in a loud restaurant and will fixate on the offending patron's mouth noises and can't concentrate on anything else. I have been known to just get up and leave a room at work because I can't stand it. I've even gotten into verbal arguments with people for politely asking them to chew with their mouth closed. Cotton or cottony stuff in my mouth ... or really anyone's mouth. I hate it so much that it's almost a phobia or something. I cried when they put cotton gauze in my mouth after having my wisdom teeth pulled. I couldn't stop gagging. My daughter thinks it's hilarious to lick a towel or put a cotton ball in her mouth to mess with me, because the reaction is instantaneous. I don't even know why it's so unbearable. Instant shudders, goosebumps, and gagging ensues. Today it's people who claim their work is well-researched and proves X but conveniently and deliberately leaves out the parts that prove their conclusions are absolutely wrong. Not only do they, and their deliberately ignorant supporters, double down, they use the fact that the researcher checks all the right boxes which, in our current social climate, will shut down all dissenting voices, all while crying history is being distorted, proving their own hypocrisy. Crooked cops, or rather, crooked people in general. I'm not saying all cops are this way, but there are those that are and get away with it. I made a comment on a post in our Ask Woman that was titled, "What is something you want to get off your chest but haven't been able to talk about?" It might not have been titled like that exactly, but it was similar. No, I'm not a woman by any means, but I had the opportunity to talk about an issue my wife and I are going through, so I talked about it. Speaking of, we're 19 weeks into our pregnancy now. At first I thought 17 weeks was still in the 4-month area. Lol. This is my first child. This was before I knew about ARP, off-IR just or whatever it's called. Sorry, I'm kind of new to Reddit.